A college football analyst said that Coach Prime in Colorado has the worst roster in all of NCAA. That's wild. Let's talk about it because this is pretty crazy after the bumper. Stay tuned. What is going on, everybody? What is going on, everybody? My name is JeffLightsyJr. This is the Victor Formation Sports Show right here on JeffLightsYJr, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you get your content. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and the notification bell because we upload all the time. Now, Tom Luginbill, who is most known for being a college football analyst, really a recruiting guy. He made his name over at ESPN, being one of their lead recruiting experts, covering high school recruiting and all that stuff. And now it looks like he's moved on. He's at Yahoo Sports now. But he had an interesting take about Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, and the Colorado Buffaloes going into the 2023 season. If you don't know, Colorado opens the season on Big Noon Kickoff on Fox. They have the Fox's National Game of the Week 2 weeks in a row. Literally, Fox to Big Noon Kickoff against TCU, and then the very next week they play Nebraska, both on Big Noon Kickoff, both on Fox. Both are Fox's Game of the Week. Now, here's what Luginbill had to say about Coach Prime and the Buffaloes. Let's take a listen.
I think we're gonna finally see, for all the hoopla and all of the hype going into the offseason with Deion Sanders in Colorado, it does not mask the fact that they don't have any players on that roster. And you thought UMass was the worst roster in college football? It may be Colorado's. Now, I say that. Do they have a quarterback? Yes.
Yeah.
Do they have two starting corners that could be NFL guys, and one of them plays both ways? Yes.
Yeah.
They are so devoid of talent up front on both sides of the ball. I don't know how they're going to keep their quarterback upright. I think we're gonna finally.
That's rough, Lukes. That is rough, Lukes. You think they're that bad to where you don't know if they'll be able to keep Shedeur healthy? That's rough, Lukes. Now you know. Prime couldn't let that slide. Y'all know Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, could not let that slide. He had to respond, as he always does. This was Deion on Instagram. It says, "Wow, have you been here to see any of the talent live? ? And the short answer is no, he hasn't. Hasn't been there to see him live. He's basing it off the recruiting rankings and what he's seen from some of those guys who, a lot of them have already played college football at some level, at some point, or was on a college football roster because most of the rosters made up of transfers. And this is them just transcribing the quote from via the next round. It says, I hadn't seen him play. Here's the quote via the next round. This is interesting because Colorado, as I've said on here, if I said it once, I've said it 100 times. Colorado is going to be the most talked about team in all of Power 5 and all of college football this upcoming season. They're just that fascinating. From the talent on the roster or lack thereof, from the personality of their head coach, from the cameras that are everywhere, they are going to be the most recognizable and the most talked about college program this entire season. But there's such drastic predictions. Like, most of the experts think Colorado are going to struggle in the Pac-12. One, because of the Pac-12, for a dying conference, they got a lot of good teams. Like last year, they finished with 5 or 6 teams ranked in the top 25. This year, they have another 5 or 6 teams currently in the top 25. Oregon, Washington, USC, UCLA. Like these are good. Oregon State is supposed to have a good season. Arizona State, albeit they have a postseason ban, has upgraded their roster. They've got a new coach. So they got a bunch of schools, a bunch of teams that are expected to do well. And so everybody can't do well. And somebody has to be bad. Like every conference, every year, somebody has to be bad. And most folks are betting that Deion's first year, and with all the transfers and all the new guys, and a bunch of guys who didn't start at their previous school, they're going to be the one that's bad. But then you have some people that actually believe that Colorado will be good. And that's what makes it so fascinating, because you'll hear a guy like Luginbill say, they're going to be the worst team in football or whatever. they have the worst roster in Power 5 and Division 1. But then you have another national college football analyst and Randy Cross of CBS Sports who thinks that they could pull off an upset over a ranked team in week 1. This was what Randy Cross had to say. This is Randy Cross, like I said, via CBS Sports. He says that I'm not going to discount what Deion Sanders is going to do at Colorado. And I think he gets started with an upset win at TCU, the same TCU team that went to the national championship game last year, the same TCU team who is ranked currently in the top 25, the same TCU team who Luginbill and others think are going to curb stomp Colorado. Randy Cross actually believes that not only are they going to have a decent year, but they're going to beat a ranked team in Prime's first game of the year. You get what I'm saying? Like it's a stark contrast in styles and what people expect and what ultimately we'll get to watch it all play out. But it is very interesting. Luginbill brought up some interesting points too. Shedeur, as I said on this channel before, Shedur's a pro. Shedeur, I think, will be a quarterback in the NFL. Travis is definitely a pro. Travis is going to be a first-round pick. And then Cormani McClain, albeit from all the reports, is kind of struggling a little bit. He has the talent to be a pro. He pointed all of that stuff out. He said in those trenches is where they're going to have some problems. One problem that's already popped up on their end is a guy that they, had penciled in as a starter, and Tyler Brown, the transfer from Jackson State. His waiver from the NCAA got denied. So it was a 2-time transferred to Jackson State from UL Louisiana Monroe, played, became an all-SWAC performer, one of the best offensive linemen in the entire conference. Transferred from Jackson State after 1 year to go with his coach to Colorado, and now his waiver, which we rarely see, we don't see this a lot, but his waiver to be immediately eligible was denied. And so he'll have to sit out the entire 2023 season and have to wait until 2024. That's unfortunate, but that kind of goes into Luginbill's point. A guy who was supposed to be a starter will no longer be there, and now they have to go to his backup, and that just shrinks that depth just a little bit for a position group and for a group that is already kind of low in numbers. Kind of not the most talented, kind of not the deepest already. So that kind of goes into his point. It'll be interesting. Colorado's far from, let's be honest. Luginbill was looking for a soundbite. They're not the worst roster in the country. They're not the best roster. Let's not get it twisted. They're not a 10-win roster. They're not a 1-win roster either. At least I don't think so. I said it. I stay consistent on this point. I think Colorado wins somewhere between 5 and 6 games. I've said 6-6 for the longest, so I'm gonna stick with it. 6-6, and 6-6 is far. 6-6 gets you to a bowl game. Hell, in a lot of cases, 5 wins get you to a bowl game. So if you win 6 games, you're not the worst roster in the country. It just sounds good because when you do things like this, there is a chance Deion responds. He decided to respond to this. And it is going to be, I can't wait to see them finally take the field, because then all the opinions that have formed already before they've ever stepped on the field is one thing. They're going to be times that by 1,000 after their first game, win or lose. And especially if their first game is a blowout, win or lose. If they go in blowout TCU, times the opinions by 1,000. If they go there and get blown out by TSU, times it by 10,000. How many more videos and opinions we'll see all throughout the interwebs about this 2023 Colorado team. But Luginbill says they're one of the worst rosters in the country. I totally disagree with that. Vehemently, I totally butchered that word. Just totally disagree with that. But nonetheless, it'll get you talked about and it'll get you in headlines, because anything about Colorado during this time is going to be talked about by a bunch of people. And sometimes you get Prime to respond, just like he did in this case. Leave your thoughts. Do you think Colorado has one of the worst records in the whole entire country? Or do you think Luginbill was just talking out the side of his neck like I do? I think he's just talking out the side of his neck. He got on the podcast. He felt comfortable. He said something off the wall. It won't stick. But nonetheless, it got us talking. My name is Jeff Lightsy Jr. This is the Victory Formation Sports Show right here on Jeff Lightsy Jr. YouTube, Facebook, wherever you get your content. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and the notification bell, because we upload all the time. Thank you guys for tuning in. Also, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at JLightsy7. That is on Instagram and Twitter at JLightsy7. Hit that thumbs up button before you get out of here, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.